If you want to die cut a shape out, say for example this piece of packaging here, and we want to mask it out in the Visualis3R software, we need to create a mask layer. So basically the mask layer is a solid area, the shape of your design. So let me just bring that in now. So this area here is basically a fill. So just call the spot color mask. So basically let's just show that in a list view. So we have just a spot color called mask, and you just use the shape. So unlike doing it how you would do with a die line, so basically a die line is just a single line that goes around the outside edge, we do it the opposite way. It's a fill area. So we just put that and you set it to overprint or multiply on top of the artwork file, and then that way you'll be able to get that to mask out the shape. So it's as simple as that. Now let's just take a look at this file whilst we're here. Let's turn off the mask. So we also have a Duplo layer on there. So Duplo is a 3D sculptured varnish, and Duplo expects the separation to be black. So if we actually turn off the CMYK and the color logic layer and the crease and the die line area, that is the Duplo area. And that's because the one black being 100% solid is where the 100% of the varnish is. And if I was to put that at, say, I don't know, 50% in there, let's just say, give you a little demonstration here. If I put varnish at 100%, I get the 3D depth of the varnish, and it's more raised up. If I put a tint of it down, it's not as raised up. It's more like a flat kind of varnish. So you can control the depth of it. It's done on a grayscale basis, and that's fine for how the system works, but it's not very good for a designer when you have to have black sat over the top of your design and you can't see what your design is going to look like, which is another reason for the Visualis software. We can now visualize that 3D varnish. So we're going to demonstrate that now as well, and just to show you in here, we have the color logic separation. So the silver is going to be the foil area, all the white will be a white ink mask. So we save the file and we're going to take that into the Visualis software. So let's just open up the software. It's our file from our previous video. So let's just go and open up our test file. So this one was the honey packaging. Okay, so this is going to rip the file. So the file has been ripped into a PDF, from PDF into grayscale TIFFs. It takes a separation of each design. If you decide that it's not quite good enough resolution because we've got small text, fine lines, etc., we can increase the resolution. It will re-rip the file, so bearing in mind this is a multi-page PDF file, it's ripping more pages in a higher resolution, so it might take a little bit longer. So as I mentioned, it is multi-page, so we can toggle through and look at the other settings as well. Now each page is independent, so anything that I set in this page is applied to this page. If I then move to page 2, everything resets. So do make sure that you save your defaults. Now by default they do have the presets already put in here, so we can now see the Duplo areas. We've got that lovely varnish on there, bringing that effect to life. Maybe the color logic separation, we're printing on a white ink, and therefore we need to change the substrate over to a foil. So if I didn't have any of my layers on, you'll see that in the background we have foil, and when we put on the color logic separation, it's now white. So what we saw on the artwork file was silver. That's the silver substrate, so that's what we're seeing, and all that white is your white ink mask. And then we put the cyan, magenta, yellow, black. So you can also switch on and off all the different layers. You can see how things work together. Maybe you want to check something. We can mask that out. So the mask layer is what we were working on before, if you remember. So basically that shape masked out the design. We've got the crease and the die line. So maybe maybe our die line area is this kind of like red color. Maybe the crease area is more like a blue. Let's give it like this kind of color so I can see my crease lines on there, and we'll switch on obviously the Duplo. So we've now got a really nice looking effect. Obviously we can fine tune all those different types of layers if we want to do. Just to show you, this was a multi-page PDF, so we do support multi-pages. I'm just going to toggle that to page 2. It will retain the base default material and the orientation. We can change the orientation back and reset it if we want. So the base material is in place, so all we need to do is change that to white. and we should be then good to go on the color logic layer. Mask that out, and obviously if you wanted to set up any of your die lines, you would have to do that again, because like I say, each layer, each file is independent. It doesn't remember what you have from the other one and apply it to the next job, because every job's going to be different. So there we have a really simple way of being able to use the masking option to be able to mask out the shape. Now in the future we may well look at doing a 3D box shape, maybe a cylindrical tube. You'll just have to wait and see what we can come up with. But for now it's a flat sheet working. So there we go, masking out your designs.